So as things stand after 3 rounds, Group C is the closest group in all of TTL. The sky's the limit for both of these two. We have ACCM with 6 wins after 3 rounds. Initially, I thought ACCM was just going to stop everybody because he went 3-0, 3-0. But then MBL 3-0'd him in the 3rd round. So he's tied at 6 wins with MBL himself, if I'm not mistaken. And then Vinchester is at 5 wins. So Vinchester's right behind him. Now, chat, earlier in the day, I talked about the way that you could possibly stop people from deer pushing a lot on this map. I think we may actually see it from Vinchester. I mentioned about how if you have a meso sieve, you just use your eagle here and you just block the opponent from pushing the deer. Now, ACCM's doing that right away, so he might be able to get a couple of them in. But I think Vinchester has some plans here. I think he's going to aim to go for a drush. I think he's really going to try and utilize the fact that he's got the eagle, but also that the opponent can't fully wall. There's only been one other player who's picked Mezzo on this map in Platinum, and that's been Barles. And Barles did it twice. So he did it with the Incas, and then he did it with the Mayans, and he won both games. I actually forget who he did it against in that group, though, honestly. But the thing I thought was really cool is when he was up against Chinese, he just completely stopped the potential from his opponent pushing in deer, and the Chinese really need that. I wonder if it's as valuable to stop it. He's just going to push his own deer, so I just hyped it up for nothing, I guess. But a lot of chat seems to think this is going to be 2-1 either way. We do have a couple people predicting it's 3-0 for ACCM. I'm going to lean towards ACCM because I think ACCM has been a little bit more consistent recently. Vinchester can occasionally have an off day and occasionally have an off game. And I don't know why that is. I do know that Vinchester is traveling quite a bit. So maybe that has something to do with it. But I think part of that is Vinchester just has this magic to his play. Like, peak Vinchester, you're just like, oh, man, that was crazy to watch, right? There's very few players like him. I think it's hard to rely on the magic as much as, like, you know, the overall consistency, which is where ACCM tends to shine. ACCM's trend is you just can't kill the guy. You just can't stop him. I mean, I think in his series against Dogal, he probably lost 150, 200 villagers in those 3 games. Still won 3-0. And then when he beat Capoch, it was the same. Like, the opponent definitely killed more vills than he ever did, but he just produced so many of them. So, the meta here has been Spears and Skirms. Will we see Spears and Skirms against Mayans? Civ that can make eagles. That would feel a little bit out of place. But maybe ACCM will go scouts instead. How did MBL manage when he played ACCM? Well, I talked about it a bit during that cast. I think MBL's weakest point is early game. He's better as the game goes on, and that's similar for ACCM. So the matchups you see MBL struggle, it's because people have really fast aggression timings versus him in Feudal and Castle, and then he falls behind and can't come back. But that's not really how ACCM's played this season. ACCM plays similar to MBL, and if he survives to the late game, he thrives. So I think stylistically, ACCM didn't do enough to pressure MBL early, and MBL had a really good day. But guys, MBL, who's at 6 wins right now, so he's tied for first, has not stopped talking about the fact that he's so worried he's going to get relegated again. He's in such a good position. But because in Season 2 he got relegated, he's so fearful of it. And he's got some crazy sets coming up. I think he has to play Capoch, and every time MBL and Capoch play, it's really close. Then he has to play Dogal, who may have very little to lose. But yeah, in that season I'm referring to, MBL, he beat Leary in a series, and then he got swept by Bact and by Draken back-to-back weeks, eventually got relegated. And MBL is just like, oh, it could happen again. You know, it's just so scared. I know he's not the only one. When big names get relegated, players remember what happened in the past. You got to try and push that out of your mind. Real quick, as we're seeing the barracks here from Vinch, we might see some militia. Who knows? But I want to say thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Super Cat Thief and Azure Sentry, for some gifted subs. I think I missed a shout out. Raisin, what's up? Pato, welcome back for the 32. Thank you, Swiss Kiwi. Grim Dark Tales, thank you. Let's lock in for a fun series here. Vinch sees the stable. This feels like an Eagle Archer mix, almost. Like a weird Eagle Spear combo. Eagles take a long time to produce in Feudal, so it's not your typical opening. But if you're patient with it, if you don't lose numbers early, could be really strong here. T90's voice is perfect medicine for insomnia. Well, thank you, Saladin. You know, I went to start my stream today, and I was really excited to see someone was chatting before I even went live. Until I read their message, and their message was, when does T90 start streaming? I can't fall asleep. So, yeah. Apparently, you're not the only one. And I haven't seen that person chatting. I guarantee you we could go back, we could look for their chat history, and they haven't chatted the entire freaking day because they're dozing off. I should scream right now, but I won't. Well, actually, no promises. Spear goes forward. Yeah, so I think if you preemptively get some Eagle numbers out, the skirm switch that you usually see isn't quite as strong. And ACCM really hoping to be as aggressive as possible, but Vinchester very defensive. I noticed this from Vinch at times, forgetting the games. Oh, he killed the scout there. But Vinch can be really aggressive, or it can be pretty defensive. Typically with the Mayans, though, you have the cheap walls, and you have the additional Vil, and your resources last longer, so defense is actually their best way to open. Plus, they start with a little less food, so it's not as easy for them to be as aggressive. Tower now from from Vinch. Spearman for Vinch will probably go down. It did kill a scout, though. And Vinchester is now walled. So this game plan of going scouts on a map that's not easy to wall because of the rocks. It's not looking too hot now because of how Vinch has built up his base. This kind of reminds me of Land Madness. Do you guys remember? So Land Madness had something similar with the rock terrain around the tiny woodlines, but then people would wall to the edge. And then the version of Land Madness I prefer now, you add unwallable terrain on the edge as well. Now, I personally, I think it's less of an issue on this map because it's still, you still have an accessible way into your opponent's base all the time. In Land Madness, that was not the case. And you guys to force a tower down here, it's a different situation. But players are going to find ways to play safe. Even if the map has ways to disallow it. And Vinch just seems happy to chill out here. Vinch is just thinking, this is way better for me in Castle Age once my Eagles are significantly stronger and produce significantly faster. And so he's chilling. And I don't blame him. And I think it is a frustrating situation for ACCM right now, who, cue the let me in meme, just wants in. He wants damage. And Vinch is just not giving it to him. Being very patient right now. He did get fletching. Now, here's the part of this that's even tougher. This isn't necessarily a wait till Castle Age situation. These archers have fletching. There will be 5 eagles soon. You could go armor on the eagles and move out with these archers, and then ACCM could actually have just a worse army. So you can't not make army against this, because if they sense that, they will punish you and move out anyways. Gold is very much on the back there for ACCM, which I think is a positive for him. 12 farms for him right now. Again, you cannot, that is not walled there, so he might need to consider a tower. And ACCM just keeps poking. He's like, what are you doing, Vinch? And Vinch refuses to move out, but Vinch loses 2 archers there. That's nice damage. And I appreciate the fact ACCM's just making Vinchester work hard. Is that a sneak, though? Did you see that? Vinchester... So he doesn't have his whole ball of archers here. I wonder if ACCM senses that. He should know there should be more archers out there, but it's only 4 that are sneaking, so it's hard to pick up on that. They could be off to the left side, but Vinch left, he deleted an area, re-walled it, and is now archer sneaking. And I don't think ACCM is sensing that, guys. I don't think he has any clue. So, sneak archers from Vinch. He's threatening to move out as well. It's actually really smart because ACCM is really thinking about the middle more now. There are some skirms in the range, and he's Lithuanian, so he could react quickly. But if Vinch is smart about this, you want to walk past the vills before you fire here. You do not want your first shot and the attack notification to be when you're on the far side of the vills. You want to get behind them, in between the villagers and the TC. Yeah, so you wait. Okay, see, that's not exactly what I would have wanted, but he's still going to get villager kills. You wait a little bit longer, you maybe get an extra villager. But he's also fighting here at the same time. Vinchester only kills one villager. But he does take a really valuable fight in the middle. So he's already up a vill because he's Mayans. And, well, it says he killed 2 vills. So, yeah, 2 villagers killed, moving out across the map on the way to Castle Age. Vinchester looking really comfortable right now. And in a skirm meta, where everyone's been going heavy skirm, now you can just go Eagles. Eagles can be really good here. Yeah, PJM, that's a really valid point. Because ACCM killed 2 archers, he probably thought it was normal that the archer count was low for Vinch there. Like, if he didn't kill those 2 archers, he probably looks at that group and says, I'm pretty sure he had more. But because he killed stuff, he was like, oh, okay, it just makes sense. Good uptime here from ACCM. Vinchester still going to produce some archers, still going to produce some eagles. We see a second barracks now. And another little sneak to the side here for Vinch. But this might just be to find relics. You really don't want the Lithuanian player to get relics here. Even just 2 relics adds so much attack. I also do think the skirms still hold a lot of value here. If this becomes elite skirm and knight, very difficult for Eagle Archer. ACCM moves forward, sees the second barracks. Should have an idea of the situation there. I think this is auto scout right now. It looks like manual scouting, but still, scouting the map. That's important. Actually, just missing this relic. Super unlucky there for ACCM. This might be auto scout, though. Is that auto scout? Yep. T90 autos in chat. I remember when pros wouldn't do it. But everyone does it now, especially because you can just get any scout and do it. So it's much easier to do. You used to always have the starting scout only. The difference is they obviously wait. They don't do it. They don't do it at the start of the game. Man, Vinch is really making things confusing for Vinch. I don't even know where he's going to go. Look, you got 2 eagles hitting the gold on this side. Now you've got the eagles hitting the wood. That is a lot of skirms, though, from ACCM. And honestly, with not that many eagles out there, the skirms might actually be fine. The eagles are not eagle warrior yet. The 2 eagles on the gold are super weak. So I think eventually all of this ends up getting cleared up. The crossbows are coming in. Will ACCM be able to deal with this as well? 1 vill down. ACCM reacts. Honestly, this is very manageable for ACCM. Guys, if his skirms can just chase this down right now, ACCM could be fine. Faster to the second TC. Really smooth eco. Unfortunately, doesn't have elite skirm. Unfortunately, won't kill these crossbows. So it's frustrating when you're in ACCM's position. You're like, bro, just fight me in one spot, you know? But now you've got the speed where you should be able to find those fights pretty easily. Vinch's second TC's on stone, and he's mining it pretty heavily here. So he might be indeed thinking about a castle towards the middle. You hear the Cav Archers, which are an interesting addition here for ACCM. I don't know if it was intentional, but they'll help out the knight there, kill off the eagle. And now TC number 3 for ACCM. 48 vills versus 49. Man, what a game. This is going to be a long game. Did I say Vinch is making it difficult for Vinch? Thank you for pointing that out. In all honesty, I think Vinch may be kind of confusing himself now, though. Vinch is like... he doesn't know where to attack. He's like, or skirm's going to be here. I don't know where Vinch is going to go next. Does Vinch know where he's going to go next? It'll be 3 TCs for both. Tiny army from ACCM on the left side will be found. I think this is all really valuable for ACCM. Losing a Cav Archer feels bad, but the fact that he knows his opponent's still heavy on crossbows, and look at the amount of Eagles in the middle that aren't upgraded. I think you're just worried. You don't want to go Eagles against the Skirms because the opponent can also go for Knights. I think that's the logic. Vinch is more of an Archer player. A couple Skirms over here will get sniped by the Eagles, but the Skirms are strong enough to fight everything right now. And the Cav Archers backing it up will help against any Eagles. This is a bit of a problem for Vinch. He's tried the little side engagements, the little, you know, jabs, if you will, but he's got to go for some uppercuts here, man. He's got to go for some kills. He has to take the middle of this map. Look at ACCM dive. Now, maybe this is a little too confident. I'm not sure. There is a tower there. I like the micro, though. The micro is pretty decent. Still, the Eagles are not cheap on a map where most of the gold is in the middle. Just as long as those Cav Archers stay alive here, ACCM should be okay, and yeah, he will be. At the same time, there was a raid. Killed one villager on that side. A university for ACCM. Siege workshop for ACCM. He's also on stone. But, like, Vinch is about to make his move. I think we see the vills come out now. He could maybe go for a castle that's safe? Because there's concern moving out here against this much army. So maybe you just build a safe castle? And with, like, had he conserved his Eagle Mass, things would look so much more comfortable for ACCM, and 3 monks go down, but this is enough for Vinch. He's got enough army to maybe justify just placing the castle right here. I don't know how forward you can move, but maybe just like right there. Yeah. Get that up. It's close. You have some decisions to make if you're ACCM. Because if you snipe the vills, you might lose your army. Oh, God. No, he's going to get the army first and the vills. Oh, man. It's a doubt. And the issue for Vinch has been he has not been able to consistently hold the middle of the map. Now the Mangonel hops out with no protection. Ballistics is on the way. Siege is also on the way for ACCM. Dude, he's done an amazing job. Like, he hasn't killed a single Vill this game, and he's still found this position and his 20 pop-up. Amazing play from ACCM. But can he consistently deny the castle? I think he can. There's more knights on the way. Vinch might take out a Mangonel, but that doesn't save his castle. This is horrible for Vinch. Just horrible. He's got relics. He's got a Vill lead, or he had a Vill lead, but it's all disappearing now. And if I'm ACCM, I might consider a castle right next to this castle. That ends the game. If you get your own castle up here, it's just GG. It's not going to be easy for Vinchester now. And he is to accept that he's just not going to get the middle, so he deletes it. Loses some of the stone. But it's the correct call, because he needs defense for this. ACCM will see that castle. There's still a tower. There's TCs. There will be a castle that completes here. So running in here is crazy, but ACCM is crazy. Honestly, ACCM is fortunate. If Vinch was on point there, he could have walled in those skirms. They would have all died to the castle. But castle goes up. Here comes ACCM. ACCM also going to build that castle. Honestly, I'd be kind of tempted to place it on Vinchester's face right now. But yeah, that's the safe play. The middle of the map's too important. You don't know if Vinch will be on the way to imp or anything here. And so losing the Trebor would be a way back for Vinch. Obviously, like, winning the Trebor would be a way back for Vinch. And Vinch is up. So, like, chat's telling me you cannot wall. Yeah. I'm talking about... I wasn't talking about walling here. It was the skirms were here, and you could have placed a house here. And the skirms would have padded directly into the castle fire. But anyways, unimportant now. I should have clarified. ACCM still not on the way to the Imperial Age. Also, did he find this relic? He did. So he could get that relic. He could get this relic. This would be the time to think about it. 2 castles for Vinch inside of his walls. Yeah, Vinch is in love with his plumed archers. Honestly, don't hate it. I think Vinch still has, as weird as it sounds, because it's so messy for him and so awkward for him. The army's not that crazy for ACCM. If he can eventually deal with this tiny force. Oh my god, Vinch! Protect your vills, bro! Guys, if you ever see a help wanted sign in Vinchester's economy and they offer you a fair wage, it's a lie, okay? It's too risky. It's not worth the money. I promise you that. What in the world? More villagers exposed. I guess the TC will go up, though. And he will get access to the gold, which is very important. He does have a lot of plumes. He will be an imp, like 2 minutes faster than ACCM. And the castle's in the middle for ACCM. See, this is why it's really important you don't go for that forward castle. Because then it would just be a freebie for the opponent to trap down. The value this army has gotten is insane, though. Idling the eco, killing some eco. But also even taking out plumes right now. Vinch has no choice. Vinch just has to fight that. And now ACCM has some decisions to make. So how much gold does Vinch actually have available? So he's got 2 relics. There's 1,100 gold there. If you combine it all, it's 4,200 gold. So in a normal situation with access to more gold, the Mayans could go Eagles. But I don't think fully upgraded Mayan Eagles are really realistic in this scenario. So I think what is realistic is Plumed Archer, Trebuchet, probably Halb, if needed. Or, like, Skirm, I guess. Classic Vinchester. Does he go to the middle? Nope, he's going to go to the side. And probably knows that going to the middle is too risky. I mean, maybe he doesn't, though. He was just scouting with the Eagles, so he didn't know that castle was there. And I think ACCM saw those vills. Yeah, look at Vinch try and sneak. Honestly, ACCM should probably have outposts here. Oh, and the vills get spotted. The vills get spotted. Great awareness from ACCM. And Vinch taps out, calls the GG. He's just got nothing, guys. He's just got nothing. These plumes would run into... Maybe they get some damage done. But it just doesn't feel like Vinchester has the confidence he can build up an army, protect the Trebs, take the middle. He'd just be out of resources. It was a healthy Vill lead for ACCM. He had access to all the stone and gold in the middle. And I think Vinch is going to want that one back in some ways. Because I thought, like, the setup play from Vinch was fantastic. The little poking and prodding on the sides, the Vill kills, and the boom was good. But he lost a lot of his units. I think maybe he wasn't expecting the skirms to be as strong. Maybe he wasn't thinking ACCM would ever go skirms after he showed Eagles. But, like, he just never had a big buildup of army to really contest. And so it was just 5 or 10 units here or there that Vince just kept losing. And then it eventually snowballed on him. 1.6 KD for ACCM. And what a recovery from ACCM economically as well. Didn't have as much gold, obviously, but that's normal with his army comp. Had a crazy Vill count, good eco setup back at home, lots of food, lots of wood. And from here, even though some people say this is an early resign for Vinch, he's got the skirms out in the field. He'll deal with every archer, and there's just not enough gold for Vinchester to deal with any skirms. And he knew it. All right, so we have arrived at the Zong. Humans for ACCM and Malay for Vinchester. Wow. Okay, so... Humans was the ¡1 pick for ACCM. Malay was the #1 pick for Vinch, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think the way the draft worked, it would go first pick ACCM and then 2 picks for Vinch. So, the actual first pick did go to ACCM. The 2 follow-up picks were there for Vinch. So, clearly, he felt as though the Malay was maybe the best civ to compete here. Anytime you're talking about the humans, though, it's the second TC in feudal. And it's really hard to stop. But I said there's probably 2 civs that could potentially boom with the Cumans. Maybe 3. I think the Bengalis, I think the Burgundians, and I think the Malay. There's no other civ that comes to mind. Did I say Burgundians? I forget if I said the Burgundians. If I didn't say the Burgundians, add them onto the list. But I don't know if there's really other civs that can really compete with their eco. So you've got these shrines in the back, which is a tiny part of this. And the shrines in the back can produce priests. Now, when I saw Vinch play this map before, he intentionally chopped the individual trees to get in here really early. But he was playing with the cumins there, so it was a bit different because he was in feudal age faster. You feel more free to move around the map because your scout's upgraded and all that. But yeah, you could produce a priest. You cannot put the relics inside of the shrines. So it's a nice little addition to the map. Yeah, like, okay, you're right. There are civs that could probably compete with the boom. I guess civs that can compete with the boom and also the army is the question. Technically, I think Vikings could probably compete with the cumin boom if they go 3 TCs really fast. Maybe Persians could do it too. Khmer, actually, Khmer is a pretty fun one to think about. Khmer could do it too. But Khmer, I think, have a little bit more viability in terms of their options. Vikings just unfortunately do not. So, could Celts be good on this map since you chop wood quicker? It could, but you chopping through to make a priest faster doesn't guarantee that you even get the relics. So I think if there was something to gain and it was guaranteed, Celts could be a decent pick, but there's no real guarantee. Now, look at this, guys. So Vinch, and he used to do this when he wouldn't even make monks, by the way. I remember Vinch doing this in 2015 and being annoyed by it, but this is good here. Since you can make a priest and heal up anyways, why use a villager to bring in the boars? Just use the scout. So that's Vinch's plan here. And ACCM not doing the same. It's not that much idle time, obviously, to use your vills, but it is better if you use your scout for it. Now, we'll know if ACCM has labbed this out by the tree that these villagers chop next. Yep. So ACCM has shift queued these 2 vills onto those 2 trees. Now, I played a map like this recently, and I find that on the second trip when they go back for the trees, they may occasionally bump, and one of the vills is going to take a different tree. Okay, well, I don't know what ACCM's doing. Maybe it's the map script here. We'll keep an eye on that, but you do need to practice checking that, because sometimes one of the vills won't chop. But the priest is ready. He's ready to go. And, yep, vill's still chopping away. So I can't really click the tree, but I think there's like 100 wood left there. Yep, 100 wood left. So ACCM's prepped. Now, to make another priest, you need to mine more gold. And so sometimes you'll see players build the second TC near the gold and actually intentionally mine some to get another priest. So I'm not going to name names, but I once saw the start to a practice game on this map. And you'll know why I say the start to a practice game. Where somebody accidentally produced their priest in the shrine they weren't chopping through. So like you're chopping through, and this is what I meant earlier. You see how the one village just moves over to the tree and he had to fix it. So they just weren't thinking, and so they just produced the priest over here, and they were like, "Can we restart this, please?" That they just replayed it. Obviously, it's pretty bad. It takes a long time to chop through there, so it's definitely worth a restart. Had to be you? No, it was you. It was my real name is _NYX. That's who it was. There we go. Oh, wow. Look at that. ACCM actually mined 55 gold with those vills. So when the TC's completed, he'll have enough gold for another priest. Dang, man. Talk about the tiny details. That's sick. And now he's out. Oh, wait, no. There's still... there we go. Now the priest can leave. And now it can move out. And since you're humans and you're in feudal age already, your scout can be actively around the map protecting. But Vinch is going to be feudal age in no time himself. Vinchester's obviously going to know what's up. And Vinch will probably go out to get kills. But this is why, like, Vinch can't move out with his scout because it's weak. If you're going to do... Oh, God, this tilts me so much. I cannot express to you how much this bothers me. Listen, if you want to do that, okay, then make a priest. This is your time to go out and kill the priests. Oh, man. I mean, Vinch did this 10 years ago, and I remember the same rant, only I was speaking into the back of the microphone instead of the front, and I lacked I didn't have as much conviction in my tone, right? Because I was an uber noob. But still, man, oh, what are we doing? Every win matters so much. Like, Vinchester might not make playoffs if he doesn't get wins here in this series. This is huge. This isn't just some random Age of Empires game for $40. Obviously, there's still $40 involved, but still. The second priest is on the way for ACCM. If that scout was active on the map, it could have killed one priest already. It could have stopped that. Wow. All because you want to bring in your boar and not use the villager. I just don't like it. I don't think it's good. So, 2 TCs. Here comes relic number 2. By the time Vinchester moves out, does he not even have gold? By the way, he doesn't even have gold to make a priest. So he's not even planning on making a single monk? He's just going to boom. Well, okay, so here's the deal. I'm okay with straight boom. I like that. Straight boom against Cumin, with Malay is good because you need to catch up economically. But if you're going to do that, at least have your scout active on the map instead of giving these relics up. That's the thing I don't like. Now, I'm so opinionated on this, and I feel so strongly. What I know is going to happen is Vinchester's going to win anyways, because that's normally what happens, but just a little surprising. Those little details feel really important here. And ACCM will freely get 5 relics. And Pato says, I think he's planning on giving them all up. Yeah, I get that. But you can use your scout to at least kill a priest or 2. Or at least try. At least make your opponent think about it. Then your opponent has to say, well, maybe he's going scouts. Maybe they get mind gamed. They add a barracks, add some spearmen for nothing else, you know? Like, ACCM sitting here like, this is the easiest relic collection of his life. I mean, you could even argue you should be using the scout actively even if it's weak, right? I mean, feel free to disagree with me. What else is the scout accomplishing right now? Except, I don't know, going for a walk. It feels a little weird to me. 2 TCs for ACCM. And 47 vills. Now, I think the boom will be arguably better for Vinchester. And so you have a real opportunity here. The Castle Age time was incredible. But it does put you under a little bit more pressure now that the opponent's going to have all 5 relics. All 5 relics after only producing 2 priests and not having to put a single ounce of your focus anywhere else. He hasn't had to be paranoid or look around at all. It's been as easy breezy as you like for ACCM. Now, you can't win with relic victory. So getting 5 relics in the monastery doesn't trigger a countdown. But 5 relics is obviously pretty massive for the gold income. When you've only invested 150 gold into making the 2 monks. Or priests, sorry. Now, vills are headed to stone. And now we see the stable for ACCM. So I think we'll see the classic fast imp. Now, ACCM actually loves to go 4 TC boom off this. This might not be an immediate forward castle. This might be scouts for map control and 3rd TC, 4th TC, and stay in Castle Age a lot longer. I actually really like that. But it's currently 52 vills for both. Vinchester will pass ACCM here. But if you go 4th TC, you do delay your imp time, and Malay are going to be so fast to imp, it gets really tricky. Am I sure it won't trigger the countdown? I don't really trust the players not to have the settings correct, even though it's in the rules and though they should know better. But if they forget and have standard victory on for whatever reason, I'm sure they will eject the relic. There's only one player on this planet that would screw up the lobby settings and then also not eject the relic when they have 200 years to do so. I'm not going to name names. But I doubt you guys forget who that is. Okay? What a funny game that was, though, dude. I was so mad because there could have so easily been drama. I was so mad. Chat thought it was funny I was mad. But it ended up being okay. Thankfully. It could have been a nightmare. You guys don't even know. With different players, if Leary and Doubt weren't so chill about it, oh. Here come the Vills for ACCM. Now, I think Vinch is starting to think about Army now to maybe stop a forward castle. Maybe take some Army control. Scout still hasn't left the freaking walls. Dude, I just... I'm being dramatic, but I just... I just don't love it. I mean, even if you just know the Vills are on the way, you can adapt in some way, maybe. But oh my God! There's a countdown on the relics! And Vinch says dadgum because he hears the alert. They forgot to change the setting. Somebody called it. So hopefully they remember to eject the relics so we don't have drama on our hands. This is not a standard victory tournament, so it should be on Conquest. And ACCM, forward castle. This is on Vinchester's face. Some could argue that that's a little risky too, right? Because if that castle's in the middle, ACCM has to work for map control to treb that down. That castle's right there for the taking. Vinchester, this is perfect for Vinch. Like... Vinch hasn't left his base the whole game. His plan was fast imp, and ACCM's like, here you go, pal. Here you go. That should be an easy castle to trap down for Vinch. Will the scout leave the walls? Yes! He gets to see the world, finally! He gets to see the world. That is legitimately the first time he's left his base the entire game with that scout. Obviously, he knows where the relics are now. That's always pretty cool, by the way. Let's hope this game doesn't get too intense, because if the game gets too intense, ACCM might forget to eject the relics. But this will be tough for ACCM. Like, what's your army comp here? He wanted to pressure. Now he sees a castle. Now I think he's like, oh, crap. What if he's fast imp? Dude, like, well played, Vinch, man. That's crazy imp time. And he hasn't had to fight for map control at all. And oh my God, ACCM just murders himself. Yikes. Everything he made dies to the TCs. Now you're really going to have to fight for this map control. The Kipchaks doesn't seem like the greatest unit ever. Only 2 TCs as well. So you've got 1 TC producing right now. It's 3 TCs producing for Vinch. This should be good for Vinchester. Res collected's even. But what did ACCM put his resources into? Knights and Kipchaks, and a castle, and a TC. They're all gonna die. Oh yeah, ACCM I guess is 3 TCs, sorry. Yeah, he's got the one in the middle, obviously. Like the little gate there. What I'd be worried about here if I'm Vinch is Knights. But you do see Bodcanero on the castle. And you did see Kipchaks. So it feels like Kipchaks is the commitment, if anything. Kipchaks doesn't really seem to make a ton of sense for me. Considering the current castle predicament. So I think Cavalier is the long term. And I think Vinch expects that. Vinch did get Pikeman already. Also completed chemistry. There's the stables for ACCM. That's an interesting one. I think what... Maybe I shouldn't, like, speculate too much in this moment. But I think ACCM is regretting the forward castle. Imagine what this game is if he just built a castle on this hill. Vinch doesn't know about it. And Vinch has to actually move out with his army. To try and secure a position for his trebs. How's the scout doing, by the way? Wow, scout's an absolute god. Scout's still alive, scouting the whole map. Trebuchet from ACCM will get sniped by the bombard cannon. He's desperate now to keep that alive. And yeah, he's just really sinking his stone into trying to hold this position. I think this is ultimately just going to buy him time. Oh, man. Kip checks are out. No chemistry. Just Bodkin. Can he get the bombard cannon? Can he get it? Can he get it? He gets it. Well, that's something. Saves the Treb, snipes the cannon, but there's still trebuchets there from Vinch he can't do anything about. How much stone was just sunk into repairing that castle? I think the answer is probably too much. Maybe close to 1,000. I don't know. Castle will go down. Conscription will go down. So no upgrade there. Vinch is the slow, steady build-up. And he knows, because there's a freaking timer on the screen, that he is on the clock. But he should not be on the clock. ACCM, before this gets too crazy, can you please eject a relic? By the way, when that happened with Doubt and Leary, they never told the admins. No one said anything to me or the admin team. We were casting it as recorded games, just like this. So we... I had, like, no heads up that there was going to be an issue here. But, like... So, it's kind of funny. In the rules, by the way, it says that both players are responsible for the lobby settings, which kind of makes sense. Like, both have to double-check the settings are correct. So, it is kind of... I mean, imagine a situation where Vinch is basically winning the game, and then the game ends because of the relics. Like, and then ACCM says, no, I was going to win. I had 5 relics. I actually think that Vinchester could take down the monastery before the timer hits, though. This is a crazy buildup from Vinch. I got upset about the scout. But beyond that, the little detail, which bothered me so much, he's played a very nice game here. Monks won't offer anything. They'll just get sniped. The gate's about to go down. And like, it's just toothless from ACCM. He tried to fast imp against the melee, which is just absolutely the wrong call. When you get those relics, maybe you just have to hold the map. The boom from Vinch is fantastic. The patience from Vinch was fantastic. He's got 20 halbs. You can't even really get great timing attacks here, too, because the melee get armor for free just by getting to the next age. Your skirms aren't really the best as the humans. The castle for ACCM being desperately repaired again. And a castle in the middle now from Vinch. That's such a good castle. And a castle down for ACCM. What can he do? You can try and utilize your mobility a little bit. Here he comes for that. To the gold in the middle. Great positioning. Onto the Vills. Should slaughter quite a few Vills here. Maybe that distracts so you can snipe the Trebs with another army. Kip checks and Cavalier working well. 56 years on the timer, which should not exist. But the monastery's right there. Cavalier raid now from ACCM. He's just doing anything he can to stop his own base from dying at this point. This Cavalier should not survive very long, but they get into the back. That's good work from ACCM. This is the best thing you can do. I don't know if it's enough, but that's absolutely the best thing you can do. There's 80 army for Vinch. 8-0. He's fully popped. I mean, this is crazy. Well, here he goes. Countdown's at 43 years. The crossbows really need to be upgraded to Arbalest. He has 45 of them. So he's still missing an upgrade. Armor isn't as big a deal. Arbalest is big. I think he'll get it at some point. It may even be in queue. And ACCM is just like, I will defend with whatever I can, but the relics, the farming eco, the castles, everything's right here. This needs to be stopped. And I just don't think it can be stopped. Vinchester has... He's played a near-perfect game. 30 years. Vinch is going for the monastery. Thank you, Vinch. Thank you. Crisis averted. Crisis averted. Let's go. Relics are out of the monastery. No relic victory for ACCM. No drama for us. And Arb is in, and ACCM's a fighter, but this is rough. I mean, what? You can't stop this. This is just insane. And so apparently, against the humans, if you just boom, you can beat their military, even if they get those relics. We saw a similar thing in other games. But this from Vinch, it's like he never had a doubt, dude. He was just so confident. Slow castle build up. He's gotten to his 4 trebs and his bomber cannon and has never really looked back. ACCM desperate to hold on to this castle. The castle will fall. All of his army will die. And this will be a 1-1, folks. ACCM still looks at this and thinks there's hope because that's in his DNA. I don't know what he looks at here and thinks is going well for him. But yeah, GG. Now, I do need to touch on, I mean, again, a perfect game from Vinchester. It's really well played. Great series on our hands. But considering what we knew, what ACCM did with this castle was absolutely the worst possible thing he could have done. But it's important to remember, he doesn't know, right? Like, it seems so obvious for us. He doesn't know. He's still thinking, I can have a really good imp time. I have 5 relics, forward castle, win the treb, or win the game. He never can move out of his base. He didn't know that Vinch was already up. Like that, this castle was just a donation. Now, I think instead, if maybe that castle's here, you can keep it up a little bit longer because it's on the hill. Vinchester needs to have a little bit more army. You can actually produce more kip checks because your castle's in a safer position. I mean, it really changes a lot here. I'm not saying it's going to be easy against the buildup from Vinch. I think Vinch still has good chances, but this basically gave Vinchester all the momentum he needed, and he didn't have enough time to cook behind it. So, well played. Humans go down again, and there's the boom from Vinchester. Just made so much army that game. He ended the game with, what, 80 army? 60 army. But he had 80 military at one point. So, game number 3. We've got Dravidians for ACCM, and we've got Vinchester playing as the Armenians. I don't think that Vinchester is going to do the thing that I talked about yesterday. And I still maintain, I know that yesterday the famous thing strategy, I know it didn't work. I still maintain a lot of that was maybe a skill difference. Maybe that was some nerves. I think that it still has some potential. But I doubt Vinchester's going to go for the full walls, galleys. I think he's probably going to actually expand out here to the extra resources. And probably just picks Armenians because of the good galleys and the good eco. And then Dravidians, great eco, great infantry, great archer, and great navy. But not great cav. Neither civ really has great cav, but Armenians can at least make some knights. They can go for fully upgraded knights in Castle Age, which could be helpful. Poop Octopus says, I can't believe I just said those words. How have Dravidians done on this map? I'll answer your question, but first I have a question for you, Poop Octopus. Maybe I shouldn't ask this. What inspired you to make your username that? Like, how old were you? Like, what made you think, of all the things to describe me as a person, I'm going to choose this? I'm just kind of curious. Anyways, again, that's kind of a dangerous thing to ask. But Dravidians have done pretty well. I remember a lot of Dravidian wins. I think they've won more than lost. You can go to T90official.tv and look at the Titans League tab to see the stats for them. I don't know if it's map specific there, but I think they've done pretty well. Oh, guys, Vinchester, he just brought in a boar with that scout. Now, this is going to seem awkward because I criticized him for doing it in the previous game. But I actually really like that here. So, I think it's a good move. We saw it in Hidden Cup when this map debuted. So, you can get the 340 food from the boars. And then you can also grab these rhinos. And then you also have the fish. You have whatever cows and sheep you may find as well. It gives you a little bit of extra food. We've seen that a lot. When things get crazy in Feudal Age, you want to have as much food as possible underneath that TC and delay as many farms as possible. Poop Octopus says it was an old art project. An old art project? That just makes me... I just have more questions now. Like... Okay, well... Alright, well, don't... Remind me never to commission art from you if I am ever in the market. Thank you, though. Unholy Killin, thank you for the Prime. Thank you, Birdodactyl. Thank you, Jerio, for the 23 months. I'll keep it up. Thank you, thank you. Principal, Smoking Kraken, Swiss Kiwi, thank you for the long-time resubs. Appreciate it, everybody. Support's been amazing so far. Thank you so much. We've hit a couple of our sub goals. There's still lots of TTL to go. It's been so fun, man, to just focus on these games. But yeah, if Vinch wins this, it really makes things interesting at the tail end of this group. We would have Vinch tied with ACCM at 7 if that result happens. I think coming into this, Vinchester's odds were... I mean, this is a group with MBL, Tato, ACCM, Caphotch, Dogal. I don't think his odds were necessarily a lock or anywhere close to confirming the playoffs. Vinch has had a very topsy-turvy Titans League career. Overall, career as well, I guess you could say, but like, won the first season, then got relegated in the second season, which may never happen again. I guess for that to happen again, Harrow would have to get relegated this season, which is confirmed not to be the case. But he's played pretty sharp here. Like I said, I just think the consistency for Vinch isn't necessarily there. Game one, I think, had he taken slightly better fights, he wins the game, right? And then game 2, he looked unkillable. Felt super comfortable. And here comes the villagers to the outside for ACCM. And same exact thing for Vinch. So you need your scout to be active to scout the shorelines to see how many docks they have. The wood, the berries, the deer. Are they on gold? If so, how many are on gold? There's a lot to focus on right now. And you could tell Vinch's scouts checking the front, looking for a barracks. It's actually perfectly timed, by the way. If he were to come back, he will... Well, he's going to miss it. And he already scouted this area, so he might not come back. But here he comes. Meanwhile, ACCM just confirmed there's vills on the outside. And he may swing around to the front of the base. I like the walls there from Vinch. And I love the scouting. That's a huge find. But the timing of that is kind of everything. It's very unlikely to be man-at-arms now that the barracks is just going up. So more than likely going to be scouts or archers. ACCM sees the walls. And a good point from chat. I mean, it seems reasonable. Someone's asking, why would you send the vills in Dark Age when you have mule carts and you can just roll them around? Well, because you don't want to have to do all that when things get crazy, right? Like, there's going to be so much more happening here in 2 minutes than right now. So the fact that you just preemptively put the vills out here, sure, it slows you down a little bit, but it's just brain space. Because when you're attacking constantly, when you're looking at water and on land, you're not going to realize that you ran out of these 9 trees. So, walls from Vinch. ACCM will see that. I don't think ACCM was expecting that. And this is going to be crazy walls from Vinch. Even trying to wall all of this. That's a lot of walling to get down. I don't hate it, though. I've said it before, especially walling to the edge here, which ACCM will do as well. It makes it so people can't use their land army to get to the outside land. Again, I also really like the tower there. Yeah, another fair point is if there's water control as well, moving out in Fuel Age isn't necessarily safe because Navy can patrol the crossing, so. Team Nadney's ignoring us. What, all the relegation jokes? I would never relegate you guys down to ignoring you. Galleys from Vinch. Expected from the Armenians. I don't think the drinking game for the word relegated is happening today. Still haven't seen that guy in chat today, so I don't know how he's doing. And galleys pay off here for Vinchester. Now, that's more micro-intensive, but nice kill there. Still going for the walls. That's crazy walls, man. Both players seem to have a lot of respect for each other right here. I mean, the game matters a lot. Now ACCM is moving to the outside. So as far as he knows, he can just go right through here to the wood line. I can't help but feel like Vinchester's playing pretty greedy here, man. He will see the scout. And Vinch will lure him towards the spears. That's so well played. So well played from ACCM. And now does Vinch realize this? He's got other things to look at. And, oh, he gets the quick walls down. He could probably hold this just enough time to bring his archers over, honestly. He does have the archers out of the range on the way over. Those are 2 archers without fletching. Vinch is fine for now. It's just kind of funny how he's gone for these walls, and now he has to tower anyways. So, nice pressure here from ACCM. He's safe over here, like we said. But the fish are a problem. He's relocating his fish, though. He knows the galleys were coming through the middle. He spotted them. And the galleys haven't been able to get there in time. Super close game here, guys. Nice play from Vinch to defend. But now, ACCM should also know that the archers aren't going to hit his base, which is a nice feeling. I think he was concerned that there could be archers in his base. So you could try and move forward with your own army, but when you know Vinch is probably walled, maybe it's not the best play. And so it feels like this will head to Castle Age, but on water this whole time, ACCM has been producing more fires. So initially it was 1 fire versus 3 galleys. Now this is more micro-intensive on land. There's other things that could go wrong. And there's double dock fire production from ACCM. I think that's the key here. Once this is in Castle Age, it's way better to be the fire player. Just, it's not usually worth it to invest into the galley numbers you need to beat Castle Age fires. That would be like 12, maybe, with all the upgrades. Vinch is microing the galleys, and then he pulls back here, man. I mean, he's just... So many players, even in Platinum, just lose a couple archers there because they're still focused here. That's just great micro. But also well played from ACCM, pulling back the ship to repair. Still chasing this down in the first place is pretty good. He is on the way to Castle Age. He's got so many fires, and I don't think the galleys are going to cut it anymore, Vinch. Food eco's not amazing for ACCM here. He's got the berries and the deer for now. Probably needs some farms. He's even adding another dock. So I think the first thing that we'll see ACCM click is probably War Galley. Look at these walls, man. This is... This just kind of looks funny. I get it because there's fear now that you could get attacked. But it just still doesn't feel necessarily worth it. And ACCM slightly distracted. Probably looking on water. And, well, now Vinch is distracted. Okay. Micro's needed here for Vinchester. Vinchester, 2 minutes behind a Castle Age. And ACCM will get a lot of extra wood with the Dravidians. ACCM could completely win water with the Dravidians. This has been a clean game. Res collected's even, by the way. KD is about to be even if 1 or 2 more kills comes in for ACCM. He is making a lot more galleys. War Galley's still 30 seconds away for ACCM, so he needs to back all the way up. There is this fire, which might loop into the crossing. Oh, that's a sneaky archer army. Man, if this archer army gets to the starting area for Vinch, I'd be so annoyed. Yeah, there's the upgrade now. So I like this from ACCM. The fire on the crossing is huge against the skirms. And now, Vinch is like, where is that army? He's waiting for that army, and he's probably scared because it could have Bodkin Arrow. The army's actually walking across here. That's so good. And even, like, the fact that he's not even, doesn't even have crossbowmen and can find value from this is massive here, right? Vinch will see this, move units away. We've yet to have an eco kill in the game, but that changes. That's 2 Vil kills. The gold now gets pressured in the middle. ACCM playing super sharp here. It's tough for Vinch to keep up now if the Navy is a factor here. You would need War Galley with Bodkin. And more than 7 ships. And if you go for more than 7 ships, it's a problem. I don't mind War Galley with a couple of your fires in front, though, maybe. I like Elite Skirm. I like the second TC. I also like the Fortified Church. That gives you a relic. And the mule cart upgrades are more efficient. So your wood and gold upgrades can become really valuable. But I think things are looking pretty good for ACCM. Now, that's not great. He got a lot of value from that army, though. And here he comes in to snipe the fish. I see this a lot, though. When you win water, the main application seems to be... The main benefit seems to be covering the crossings instead of even fishing. Because you just can't focus on adding fish in these moments. Crossbows get more damage here for ACCM. Vinch definitely seems a little rattled right now. And TC number 2 up on the backside there for ACCM. Does have some farming eco. Vinch does too, though. The galleys and the skirms are here from Vinch. The galleys are still staying alive, aren't they? Even though they're not upgraded. And there's enough skirms here to chase down the crossbows. It's 2 TCs. Now 3 TCs for Vinch. Vinch is absolutely still in this. What a close game. Crazy close game. I think it's like high risk, high reward, the strategy we're seeing here from Vinchester. But I think eventually the Armenians can have a really good comp against the Dravidians. It's kind of an awkward one on land for both civs. But if the Armenians can get the relics... Oh man, ACCM murdering the eco there. 10 eco kills now. Armenians can get the relics. Armenians can get composite bowmen. Maybe champs. What do you make? Composite bowman champs against skirms and champs? Any infantry lovers in chat? You might like this game. I don't know. We're a long ways from that, so don't get too excited. Love the siege workshop from ACCM. Because he can't really justify pressure on the backside now. And he knows skirms will probably be coming forward, so siege workshop. Also, 3 relics in the middle on this map. And that one is gonna make it home for Vinch. I think there's a total of 7 relics on the map. I think there's 3 in the cracked terrain, and I think there's 4 in the grass terrain. I think Vinch spotted that. Yeah, Vinch definitely knows about the siege workshop and respects that could be a problem. Vinch's galleys are still out there, by the way. And we see a church from Vinch. That's a good move, though. That church will fire some arrows. It's enough defense to make you feel somewhat comfortable. Can Vinch keep up with the momentum, though? It's like ACCM is the one dishing out the pressure, usually. God, to have to micro these galleys all the time must be so frustrating. But it's working. I mean, and ACCM keeps investing on the water, too. This is still really tough to stop, though. Like, that means you can never evacuate. Which makes it so much more important that you don't lose ground here. Sick game. Really sick game. I love the boom from ACCM. I have a feeling we're about to see a castle. I think you can justify a defensive castle here. But it's got to be so tempting for ACCM to drop a forward castle on these TCs. There's a lot happening. Oh, he's going to drop it there. Well, that's on a hill. And this is where he actually has army, right? Moving elsewhere, there's no army. It would be way too risky. 34 seconds of TC idle time from ACCM. 34 seconds. Like, what? How? It's been an incredible game. Just a truly incredible game. Vinchester needs to stop this castle. This castle could be a big problem. It's an awkward area for ACCM to move around in right now. But he's somehow navigating through the trees and everything. Oh my goodness, man. That castle will go up. And that just makes this so much more dangerous for Vinch. Do you really want to place a defensive castle here? You probably have to. And when ACCM completes this, he can take the gold behind, which he kind of needs right now. Eventually, he'll shift more villagers on gold. He just isn't able to focus on that right now. And by the way, water control is completely lost for Vinch. He's bringing his galleys over to help on the shoreline, He doesn't know how many fires are waiting for him. This is a problem. Virtually flawless game from ACCM. Now, you might think that imp could happen. Oh, man. Careful, careful, careful. Look at this micro. Absolute micro god. You might think imp could come in with forward castle v forward castle, but I actually don't mind just continuing to stay in Castle Age and expanding your boom a little bit. This puts Vinchester under a lot of pressure to probably go imp for Trebs. He'll invest everything he can into that. Vinch just cannot cross here. He cannot cross here because of the fire ships. It's such an issue. He skirms, but he can't stop these crossbowmen because of it. He's got to make all new buildings to defend. And he's just struggling. He can't keep up with it. ACCM just flying. It's kind of nice here that the castles are in range of each other. The castles will go down pretty quickly if you start to mass units in there. That could maybe be kind of good for Vinch because there might be an argument for composite bowmen and you could keep them in your castle and it adds arrows. And oh man, big shot. That's a really nice shot there for Vinch. Sad elephant noises as the elephant dies. But ACCM, just true to his reputation, is going to set up the next punch. Another castle will come up over here. There's no way that gets denied. He is on the way to imp. And so this castle can make Trebs to finish the game here. And then he'll also have the ability to make Trebs here. It's just too good. He's just so far ahead right now. Still, just Vinch has to micro constantly against these random fire ships. And now it's going to be demo ships. Actually, what you can do is you move your fire ships away and you make Vinchester think he's fine to cross. And then you swoop in with a sneaky demo. Now, that's what you focus on if you focus on literally nothing else. ACCM still has 35 seconds of idle TC time, so he is not going to have the fine little details there. Well, maybe he does, actually. He moved that to the side. That's definitely what he's thinking. What an impressive game. Wow. Like, Vinch has had a good game. This has been a solid game. This is not a bad game. It's just ACCM has had a perfect game. So sharp, man. From the upgrades to the eco. I guess the only thing is a lot of people would like to see him get horse collar here. Just for some of those farms, but that's just having farms is the key here. Vinch is hoping, just like the previous game, that he can win the Treb War with the faster imp, but it's not going to happen. Look at all the demos lurking around the shallows now. I think Vinch will see one of them. He knows to stay away. Yeah, he can see that one. He'll never move out here. Oh, good luck. That's so funny. And ACCM is probably just going to hide his crossbows on the shallows. Dude, that's so smart. Like, what are you going to do about it? You can't do anything. You can't do a damn thing about this. Treb over here now for ACCM. That castle will be doomed. Treb over here from ACCM. Vinch is still trying to kill the crossbows. They're just going to camp it out there, protected by the ships. And the only way Vinch wins this is if he wins the Treb War. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be really tough. Also, more Vills are coming forward. I think ACCM is bringing Vills forward to repair. Now he's... Oh, wait, no, they're mining gold. They're mining the gold. They're just obedient miners. Oh, did I miss a demo? Oh, did I... Was there a demo? Really? Was there a demo? Oh, okay. Well, all right, chat. There you go. Wow, that was huge. Oh, call me blind for missing 2 units. Wow. What a travesty. I'm so sorry. That was crazy. Anyways, Trebs are moving forward. Villagers are going to die underneath the castle. And, I mean, that's not good. I'm not going to say this is positive. That's certainly a negative. It's also a negative. Vinch has 5 relics. So that's something I've forgotten to talk about. If Vinch... Maybe Vinch has a chance. With 2 castles over here, maybe he could win the Treb War. But man, bombard cannons are going to follow too. And Armenians don't get bombard cannon. You still need the gold income to actually make the bombard cannons. And you may need the protection for them. And you're also 1 misclick away from losing your units there. It feels like this lead for ACCM should be enough to at least clear out this region of the map. But he doesn't have a lot of military buildings here. His military buildings are over here. Access to stone is maybe an issue for Vinch. He has 0 stone being mined. There is stone available back here, but there's a lot to focus on. He obviously knows about that. And in these situations, just being able to sink an extra 1,000 stone into repairs is massive. Vinch couldn't do it on this side. He loses it. His Trebs could probably get sniped. And Vinch is going to have to sink his precious gold into buying the stone. You have to, though. You have to buy the stone. You can't lose both these castles. He's going to take down ACCM's castle. Okay. He buys 500 stone. He needs his Trebs to take the cannons and the enemy Trebs. ACCM here, he will lose his castle. Interesting. But Vinchester loses this castle. And Vinchester's Treb gets sniped. Bombard cannon stays alive. And ACCM starting to mass a lot more cannons. He has 3 with 3 more in queue and skirms in queue. And it's Dravidian skirms. So they fire faster. And this is all desperation mode for Vinch right now. He's just hoping these Trebs can hit the bombard cannons. ACCM is paying attention. ACCM will snipe the Trebs. And this, if I'm not wrong, will put ACCM near the top of the group. We'll have to look at it. I think this ties him at the top of the group with Tato. But Vinchester obviously played such a good series that I think he could still easily make playoffs. What a game from ACCM. Easily his best game. I know game number 1 was great, but like this is an incredible game. He made maybe the hardest map in the map pool look easy. So confident and clean. Vinch has no army now. He's got no army. He'll take out the Trebs, I guess. So there's that, but like these vills are getting sniped. Everything's dying over here. ACCM could go for anything he wants at this point. Do Dravidians get elite battle elephant? I feel like it's a weird thing where they do. Oh, they don't. Okay. I thought it was one of those things where they do get it, but they're obviously crap because of lack of upgrades. But they don't get it. But you could win the game with that. Anyways, just regular elephants. And GG. What a crazy game from ACCM. ACCM wins 2-1. And so a little bit of faith was restored in ACCM after he got swept against MBL. I think we saw a much better version of him today. He looked very comfortable. But this game, man, this game was just so clean. What a great job. I think Vinch's strat had potential, but anytime I'm seeing the galley play these days, it just feels like if the fire player hangs around, if they sneak their fish around, if they add a couple docks extra, by the time Castle Age arrives, the galleys it's just not it. Like the galleys have to work super early, and it's hard to focus on that when you have everything else. ACCM did such a good job. Like he had an army here that looped and stopped the wall, looped around here, hung around here, moved over here. Like he was everywhere. He was everywhere with his army. And Vinchester was basically almost fully walled. So I guess that's part of it for Vinch. If you're going to wall, you have to actually complete the wall. So maybe he needed to commit more to it. But you could argue it's a lot to wall, and maybe you just need to control the map a bit more with the military. There's the res collected for ACCM. He wins. And one more series for both of these guys to determine their fate. ACCM probably safe from relegation. Vinchester technically not. Let's see. But I would have thought, like, Vinchester's a player you typically are thinking playoffs with, right? And so, still within reach. This is Updated results with MBL and Kapach to play tomorrow. So they still have 2 more sets in hand. We've got Tato at 8, ACCM at 8. They actually play each other next week. So depending on the other results, that could maybe be play all 3 to determine who gets first place. But that's not exactly certain, because if MBL gets a 3-0 over Kapach or a 2-1 over Kapach, he's in the conversation too. Vinchester, according to this, 69% chance to get 4th place, and then a 10% chance to be relegated. Still has solid enough chances to get playoffs. But I guess in Vinchester's case, he's become a very big Kapach fan, and he needs Kapach to get wins over MBL. And if Kapach gets wins over MBL, that's better for him. Obviously, Kapach is super hungry for victories. Like, Kapach needs to survive. So Kapach is going to send it against MBL, I can guarantee you that. And then MBL is apparently very nervous that he could get relegated. But I think all these results are pretty good for MBL. I don't think he's going to get relegated. It looks like a 2% chance. So I think as long as MBL gets a win or 2 against Kapach, obviously still has Dogao to play then, I think MBL will be okay. But yeah, there's 4 more sets basically. MBL Kapach tomorrow, and then the final round, Tato ACCM, Dogao MBL, and then Kapach Vinchester. So we'll see. Who do you guys think wins the group? 4 sets to go, if you had to guess. I think, I don't know, MBL could take it. MBL has the bottom 2 players in the group remaining. MBL's got a lot of potential to take this group right now. But MBL Kapach is always crazy. You never know what you're going to get with those sets, except for entertainment. And then Dogao with nothing to lose could be really good for MBL or really bad. Like, if MBL needs wins and Dogao's already out, like, Dogao might have a little bit more success there. I'm seeing a lot of people in chat saying MBL. I guess we'll see. We'll see what we see from MBL tomorrow. What are the percentages if Kapach wins 2-1? If Kapach wins 2-1... there's our situation. So it's 50-50 between Tato ACCM, and then, like, fairly close, I guess, for MBL Vinch. You can also play with this yourself. Like, if Kapach wins 3-0, we might be talking potential for playoffs for him. And that would be crazy. 8-8, 6-6, and 5. But I think MBL is playing too good, man. Like, MBL 3-0'd ACCM. I think MBL is the favorite in the series tomorrow. I just don't know if he'll get the sweep. I feel like Kapach will take a game from him, maybe. I would predict maybe MBL 2-1 there.